You're holding Siman Shin Mem Sivav. The halacha-theory, a string from that was sewn, used to sew a beged, sheniftach, that opened up, it got loose. Also, l'moschai mishum teifer. Now that it tightened it, pull it, because of an isser teifer. Teifer is an isser, we'll go into more part maybe soon, but teifer is an isser of sewing a beged. You have clothing, you want to sew it up, you have a hem that opened up and you want to sew it back together again. That's a pashtus, the isser of teifer. Just say you put other things together, we'll see soon, it's not isser teifer. But teifer is a beged, you put your beged loosened, whether it's a hem, whether it's a button, whatever it is, and you're tightening it. That's an isser of teifer, of putting the beged back together again. So if you look in the Magen Avraham, it says chut. So first of all, the Magen Avraham brings down a halacha here. Machat shenes akmo, a needle that became crooked, a filu ma'at, even a little bit. Also, lepoishto, you're not allowed to straighten it out. And this doesn't say why, but the reason is because of the sakein moneh, tikkun kli. If it was crooked, you're not allowed to straighten it because of tikkun moneh. So it's interesting, the Achronim HaMedayik from the Lashon of the Magen Avraham, that it says a filu ma'at, even a little bit. Filu ma'at means the needle is still usable. You could sew with it still. You straighten it out, it's already mesaken moneh. Mesaken moneh usually means that the kli was not usable, and now you make it usable. The Achronim HaMedayik from the Lashon of the Magen Avraham, a filu ma'at, that even though it's only a little bit, you're now allowed to straighten out because of mesaken moneh, because it's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be straight. And the Ma'aseh Sasson gave to us for a machat. No one's using needles on Shabbos. But when it comes to the gate, which is very common, it's other things that are made out of metal. Safety pins. Safety pins. So safety pin that cannot be used, and you fix it. For example, let's say it gets open too much, right? So you try to squeeze it together. So now it could be usable. That's for sure mesaken moneh. Because somebody could use it well. A paper clip, a bobby pin, all these things that aren't usable, a bobby pin is open too much. So you want to close it back to make it tighter. That's mesaken moneh. That's for sure mesaken moneh, because that's not usable. But even if it is usable, and you're fixing it a little bit, it's called mesaken moneh. So you have all these things. You have silverware also a lot of times, where it bends. And you want to bend it back into shape. It's also mesaken moneh.
The spoon is bendable, but you can still use the spoon.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's the medayik. The medayik has filu ma'at, even though it's usable. This is the medayik from the Magen Avraham. It says a filu ma'at. What's that filu ma'at? A filu ma'at means even though it's still usable, but still you're fixing it, you're making it back into the way it's supposed to be. It's also mesaken moneh.
No, but you can do it the other way. Say a filu ma'at means even if by bending it a little, you're making it usable again. Because machat shenita k'mad, maybe it means that you can't use it right now, but even if you bend it back a little bit, you can at least start using it.
I hear, but he's not talking about the bending it back. He's talking about what happened to it. So it's akma filu ma'at. You're right. If you would say putting it back a filu ma'at, you'd be right.
I thought it was machat shenita k'mad. A filu ma'at asur.
It's not in the wrong place.
Very good. Depends where you put the comma.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Very good.
I don't know. That's the way I read it.
Yeah. You're right. If you read it that way, then that's harami. It has to be that's mesaken moneh totally.
Right.
But I don't learn that way. I don't know what the raya is. There's a chiddush. It's a big chiddush to say that if it's usable the way it is now, and you open it, you're fixing it a little bit, then it's mesaken moneh.
Right.
It's a chiddush. So you're right. If you want to learn the Magen Avraham that way, you put the comma before the filu. Then you're right.
Rabbi,
but
this is a magnet, right?
Yeah.
So like this, it's useless. But when you close it.
No, that's meant to be open and closed. That's the way you use it.
Right.
You use it, open and close it, that's fine. So that open and close safety pin on Shabbos. But if it's bent out of shape and you're fixing it, you're bending it back into shape, and now you could use it, it's awesome. So like the Achronim HaMachmir, and they say that any time you take something metal and you straighten it out, you make it back into shape, it's also mesaken moneh, even though it was usable beforehand. Kolshkin, if it was not usable beforehand, which happens a lot. safety pins, or bobby pins, all these things. People, they go Shabbos, they'll squeeze it back together again, and now it's usable. It's an Isser Mesachin Monah. And then the Magen Avraham says, HaToifer-based tfiros, if someone sews 2 tfiros, v'kesher, we'll see more about this in the Mishnah Berurah. So the Mechaber just said, Chush al-tfir sheniftach, you're not allowed to schlep it, open it up, tighten it. Now, Pashas are talking about, you have a beged, or let's say a hem, for pants, and it loosened, and you have a little piece of thread, and you pull the thread, and it tightens the whole thing. So basically, when you're pulling it, what you're doing is, it's more than one stitch. It's a bunch of stitches that you're tightening. So the Magen Avraham says, it has to be at least 2 stitches that you're tightening. So he says, the type of base tefillah is vik kesher, and he makes a kesher, because if you don't make a kesher and it's only base tefillah, it's only 2 stitches that you tighten, it's gonna open up right away. It's not even called tightened. A hem of a pant with a bunch of stitches, and you pull it. So most of the stitches will stay in place, and they won't loosen again. So therefore you have to have a kesher, by gimel, afapisha loy kosher, chayiv. Chayiv. Okay, so kosher, chayiv namin mishum kosher. If you tie it, you also chayiv because of kosher, tying. But kareya, manas nitzper, chayiv, someone rips something in order to be able to sew it back together again, is also chayiv.
So are there 3 different isurim here? There's kosher,
yes.
There's kesher, and then there's kareya manas nitzper.
Correct. Kareya manas nitzper is an isser. You have an isser of tefillah, of sefer, and then you have an isser of kosher. If you tie a kesher shechayama, then it's awesome.
Yes, something permanent.
But a Korea not loaded for is also asr. Korea not loaded for.
It's mechalchal.
Yeah, so it's still asr.
It's not clear. It's not chayiv. There's chayiv here. The Korea not looked for chayiv. He says you're right. Korea not looked for is also part of a loss. It's not chayiv.
So the same thing by Tofer, only 2 stitches.
Correct. Same thing is right. Same thing with Teifer, 2 stitches without a kesher. Also, it's asr. It's not chayiv, but it's asr.
But it's not patrable asr, it's just asr.
Patrable asr. Yeah, patrable asr.
And are these 3 independent actions, meaning you would have to bring 3 korban carcasses?
Yeah. Yeah, if he does one tefillah, he does the tefillah, and he does a kesher with the tefillah, then it's 2 korban carcasses.
And then kareya manas nitzper.
Also.
It would be a separate korban carcass.
Yeah. Okay, so look at the Magen Avraham over here. In Sif Khan Chavav, the Moschai, Hainish and Espardu, Shtechatichas HaBeged, Zum and Zuba Mixas, Vechute Atfiras Nimshachim, and the strings from the tefillah, from the sewing, is sticking out, right? So the Toyach Reish Achur, the Lahadek Ulechaber. You want to pull it to make it tighter. That's this in itself. So if someone has a button that's loose, they want to just pull the string from the button to make it tighter, it's awesome. That's called teifer. Even though you're not sewing it on, you're just tightening it. That itself is an issue of teifer. You have to be very careful with that. A very common thing. Another thing they speak about is, which is not, I'm not sure all the Achronim agree to this. A lot of times you have that you get a pull on your suit. So the string pulls out. So what do? You pull the suit.
Right.
And
it goes back in place. Yeah.
it goes back into place. Yeah. And now it's straight. Some Achronim will answer that. But it's also like teifer. Straightening it out, and you're pulling the string back into place. Could be it's also. That's a very common thing. Especially in old shoes would have nails on benches.
They get snagged. Right?
Yeah. So you snag, then you pull the thing, you straighten it out. It could be it's also teifer.
When you have a tzitzis knot, also even if it becomes slightly loose, but you do have the knot, but even to tighten it.
That's kosher, yeah. I mean, it's not kosher. The tighten the tzitzis, the top thing, is also kosher because it's a kesher gabi kesher, even worse.
But it keeps coming loose, so it's not permanent.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe you have to. That's what it means.
You won't rub it down.
No, it depends. No, it depends how loose it is, you know.
No pressure, you'll get it straight. You get it okay.
Sometimes you buy a new suit, and the pockets are sewed up.
Yeah, you can't open it.
None of them know
Yeah, you can't open it.
But let's say they've been cut already, and it just one suit.
No, still together. Yeah, it's a very good question. There have been a lot of times that you have a new suit for Yom Tov, and you forget to open up the pockets. They're sewn down.
Right. Yeah.
You're not open it up.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a kareya. Even though it's not lit for, that kareya itself is a massacre. And even if you could just pull the string out, without cutting, there's also a problem. It's straight fetus.
Yeah.
And it's bound to open it up. Yeah. Same thing if you have the tag on your sleeve. So also take it off. Because it's tight for you.
Right. And that's a problem even when it comes back from the cleaners, they have the little...
Right.
That's usually with the
the staple. Staple could be open up. It's not called typhoid. We'll see soon. It may be easier. It may be easier. We'll see soon. It may be easier that we have the tag on your suit. Maybe more lenient. And say that with the tag and the cleaners.
With the cleaners, we said we could take it.
And the reason is because taifer, I spoke at the beginning, so I'll get back to it soon. Taifer is when you're sewing two things together, a beged, a bottom to a beged, you're sewing together. You sew a paper to a suit. It's not taifer. Taifer means you have to be making a beged. Sewing something that doesn't belong there really, which is a temporary thing, doesn't really belong to the suit. It's not really called tefillah.
It's like a price tag maybe as well.
A price tag. Yeah, a price tag also. It's not meant to. It's not taifer. Right, those are examples they'll give. They give examples.
What about, like, sometimes they put a label. That would be...
Even a label on the suit. Even a label.
That's a label.
Even a label.
Yeah. Or the inside.
Even inside the suit. You have to know, even a label that you have inside the suit, it's not part of the suit. You're adding something to the suit that you know which suit it is. What size the suit is, what type of suit it is. It's not really part of the suit. Taifer means you're taking two things and you're making them into one thing. A label on a suit is not one thing.
Is that kosher?
So yes, that depends. If it's not. If it's not, the problem of opening it up or not. But that may be more lenient. And that's why some people make it while you're talking the cleaner's tags, they let rip it off. Because the cleaner's tag.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, some people make it rip it off because the cleaner's tag, it's not called that's attached to the beged. They give an example. Someone has a kid has a pacifier hanging down from this thing, right? So they pin it down, right? So what happens to the taifer? They attach it to the beged. It's not attached to the beged. It's not becoming a beged. You happen to be you're attaching something to the beged through its field, but it's not called taifer. Taifer is only when you're taking something and you're sewing it together and you're making one thing out of it. A button on a suit. It's called taifer. You're sewing something together to make a beged out of it. But you want to attach something to something else to keep it there, they shouldn't lose it. It's not called taifer.
I'm not kind of used to tie their money belts and stuff like that to their remember that was done back then.
It's also called, it's not called taifer because it's not really part, but a kasher would be a problem. If you kasher, you make a knot, that could be a problem because the kasher is the problem. The issue is the kasher itself. Mashiach in taifer, where the issue of taifer is sewing two things together, it'll be more lenient on such situations. So that means if someone does have a tag on their suit, you may find some person that master to pull it off. To take out the stitching may be worse, but to pull off the tag itself may be more lenient.
In a pin, like let's say a woman has a pin.
A pin on a beged, there's no it's a taifer. A woman puts it for niceness.
Even if it goes in and out?
Yeah, even if it goes in and out. It's not an issa taifer. You may have an issa of kosher. If you're using a safety pin to put it in, there's no issa taifer. Because you're not being taifer the pin to the beged. There's a place to keep it. So there won't be an issa taifer. If you use a safety pin...
And kosher? In that case?
No, it's not kosher. You're not making a knot. Safety pin is not kosher.
Not safety pin. The pin for the brooch.
Yeah, if you're making a knot...
The brooch.
Yeah, but the brooch that if you put it on. So with the safety pin...
No, I find someone with a pin. You put it in
a pin. A pin.
In and out through the...
Right, but that's a pin. Same thing as a safety pin. It's not kosher.
Yeah.
It's not kosher. Kosher is making a knot. You're not making a knot.
In a safety pin, it only goes through the skin, through the baguette once.
No.
Once, twice, won't make a difference. Even if you do it twice. It's only an isser twice when it's teifer. Kesher is when you make a knot. If you're not making a knot, it's no isser kosher. A safety pin will never be an isser kosher. Because you're not making a knot. Opening and closing the thing is not a knot. So you put it 2-3 times, it won't be an isser teifer if what I'm putting to the baguette is not called teifer. Right. But for example, if your hand falls down in your soup, right?
Yeah.
And you want to use a safety pin to put it together.
Yeah.
So you go twice, that may be an isser teifer. Because you want this to be sewn down to the baguette. And you're doing it through a safety pin.
But we just were saying the Matthias about a safety pin is
no, I'm not saying safety pin. I said the brooch is not, because you're not putting it, you're not attaching it to the baguette because you want to be part of the baguette. You need a place to put it to look nice. But something you want this hem to be a part of the baguette, so usually you take thread and sew it together. Now you don't have thread, so you use a safety pin. That may be an isser teifer.
But the practical example that happens a lot in your pants, the hem.
The hem falls down.
But by definition, I think you said that you're putting the safety pin there temporarily.
Okay, so see what about. We'll get to that in a second. We'll see soon about if it's temporary, if it's called teifer or not.
It happens a lot with ties, the thing on the back.
Right, the thing in the back.
And you want a safety pin.
Right, correct. So all those things we'll get to in a second. We'll see. So then this Mr. Baruch here, a safety pin when you're doing it to a baguette. But when you're doing a safety pin to attach something to the baguette, for example, a brooch or something, where it's not part of the baguette, that is not a problem of teifer. That you could do. Okay, but let's see the Mr. Brewer over here. Mr. Teifer, v'oisit kein chayachatas, v'usha asa kasher lebeseif, mean a knot, afilu ein shekayama, avloi kasher klal potten. Potten avalasa, av mispadu gimel tfiras, a moschan, char afilu beloi kasher, if 3 tfiras came loose, and you tighten it, then you chayav even without a kasher. So to pull the string of anything, even from that tie piece or from a hem, and you're pulling it, be very careful of pulling that string. Don't pull the string, it's definitely also. Vagav nevak sast and teifer, a teifer state tfiras, someone who does 2 tfiras, chayev, halacha-theory, rosh achot, mikav and mikav, and you tied it, kadesh le tishmar, it shouldn't fall out. Afil b'hayish al-kayama. Even though it's not kesh al-kayama, it's supposed chayev. From hayish al-kayama, chayev gam mishum kosher, is 2 isurim. For calls al-inyan chiyuva, al-inyan isura, and Isser yesh oimrim the Aser, v'afilu the Aser kasher klal. Some people say you make 2 tfiras, it's still Aser din teifer. Okay, Oisin anoshim shel teifer and cries in our baguette. So this is the case of a safety pin.
Right.
This is the case of a safety pin. It has a piece of metal, so put in a pin. Okay, Oisin anoshim shel teifer and cries in our baguette, the machat. They put the cries, whatever there was, in a baguette of machat with a needle. They stay tchifais lav shaper ovdi. They're not doing correct. The muscle gimel tfiras chayiv. Afali kasher sherei miskayem as not tfira.
What became to the cries?
The cries are something you attach to the baguette. I'm not sure exactly what it was.
So is that a brooch?
No, not a brooch.
So
it's not a brooch. No. It was something that's supposed to be part of the baguette. Something that's supposed to be part of the baguette. Cries was something that is part of the baguette. They put a machat in to attach it to the baguette.
It's a needle without the thread.
No, but a cry. What's the cries?
I don't know the cries.
But also, because he also seems to be saying, that's how I said before, in a baguette of machat, they stay tchifais. Is the idea here that it's going in and out?
Yeah, so here he's talking about a thing that you need for the baguette.
He says a collar.
Possibly a collar.
A collar?
Yeah.
That's a collar. Yeah.
Collar for the shirt.
Yeah, which is part of the baguette.
Right.
Something which is part of the baguette, not an outside thing that you want to park somewhere and you're parking it on the baguette. Such as a collar? I thought there'd be a hem.
Jews were once required to wear.
Right, so that's part of the baguette. That they would sew down to the baguette. It would be part of the baguette.
Right.
So if you're using a machat and you do state kifis, he says it's awesome. Lav shaper avdi. Why?
So what does that mean? You have to put the star on, and then if you just put it with a pin in, one pin, and you put it in.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
It
would not be. One wouldn't be. State kifos maybe.
But if you put it in and then it comes out again.
Right. That state kifos. That's a question. There's a big tumult in the Achronim. What's called state kifos? You put a safety pin in and out. Is that called state kifos? That's one.
Yeah.
But that's one. There's one reflections about it. I remember once someone was showing me the safety pin and showing him exactly in and out. Have what's called two kifos and one kifa.
Right, because if you take two pieces and you just put it in one and in on the other side, you're only having one on each piece.
Right.
The diaper, right?
Right.
So you're putting it in on one side, you're putting it on the other side.
So it's only one kifa. It's only one kifa.
Right.
So the diaper, they say.
But if you put the two pieces one on top of the other,
right, then you
have to go through twice.
Right, that's twice. Right, so they say like this: is this carbon salon when he brings down the Mishabur here? Is the whole question exactly what the carbon salon means? It's been my focus in the Achronim exactly what the carbon salon means. Now, everyone agrees, all the Poskim hold, that when you're using it, even if you're doing in and out, for example, for a diaper they used to use. So the Poskim speak about it, not again anymore really, but in those days they used to use a safety pin to keep the diapers together. And most of the Poskim are matter it. Because they say it's not really called a tefillah, because it's meant to take in and out. Right. And they say it's like a button. A button you open and close. A button you open and close in your jacket, is it called tefillah? How come when you close your shirt, it's not called tefillah? Because it's meant to open and close. Say the same thing with the safety pin. Even though you put it in and out, if it's meant to take in and out, open and close, it's not called tefillah. That everyone agrees. The question is, you're leaving it there for a longer period of time. For example, a hem that falls down. So a hem that falls down, you're going to stick it in and out to the hem to keep it, or the tie piece that opens up. So you're going to stick a safety pin in and out, which may be called state fuse, and then you leave it there. Now that you can leave it there for a couple of weeks. So if you can leave it there for a long time, there it may be us. So here's exactly what's called a longer time. So if you do it in a way that you're going to have to take it out right away after Shabbos, then everyone agrees that since you're going to have to take it out, it's not called kosher. So the best thing is to do it in a way that you're going to have to take it out after Shabbos. And some people say the best thing is when you're doing a ham, let's say, that you go through and you see the safety pin on the other side of the jacket, so it will make you take it out after Shabbos. Right. But if you do it in a way that's they do it very well, you don't see it from the outside, so it may stay there for a couple of months even, until the wife gets to sewing it up, right? So then you never know when it's going to take it out. Then it may be worse. It could be a tie, where you see it more, and you're automatically going to take it out. It could be it's more kal to do it, the safety pin. So the kal is you have to know the situation. If it's in a way that if you're sure going to take it out, it's definitely more kal, more of a saheter. But if it's a way that could be permanent,
so we're saying the same safety pin is dependent on something else. In other words, it's not that you can just say.
Right, the same safety pin is dependent on how long it's going to be there for.
But it's always going to be not permanent. It never is going to be, because even if you have, let's forget about permanent. You know, if we're going to say it's going to be similar to a button, what's the thing of a button? A button also, you might close a button and you might wear that shirt and you won't take it out. You take it off by pulling it up over the top.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea is that that's the purpose of it. A button is meant to open and close, or a loop on something, right? You close it once, it might be for 3 months that it's not going to be.
Okay, so it's an interesting question. And the chilik is a big question in Achronim, is linings in the coat. Right?
Right.
A lining in the coat, to take it out in the winter. I don't have it anymore, but they used to have it, the raincoat. Did you have it? I haven't seen it in years. Still have it?
Yeah, it's a zipper.
You zip it up?
Either with zippers or buttons.
Right. Zip it or you button it.
Right.
So there, when you put it in the beginning of the winter, it's meant to stay there the whole winter. So it was machlokes in Achronim, if you're allowed to put it in and take it out the first time on Shabbos. Because even though it's a zipper, right, but if it's meant to stay for a long time, so it's a teifer. It's a nisatfira.
Even if it's with buttons?
Even with buttons. Even zippers. Yeah. Even zippers, because it's meant to stay for a long time. Such a zipper is meant to keep it in the coat for 6 months at a time. Or a candle for 10 months at a time.
But it's not permanent. A button and a zipper, by definition, means it's not.
So it's I think Shlomo Zalman is mekel, and he says no, a zipper and a button is something that's meant to open and close. It can never be an issa teifer. a safety pin, I don't know if you could say that. I'm not sure the same heter and a safety pin. But those who hold that even a zipper and a button, if it's for a long time, it's also certainly a safety pin will be also. But if even those who hold that it's mutter by a button and a zipper, it could be a safety pin is more common. And if you can leave it there for a long time, it could be it's also. Once I think the other is maker on the linings, take it in and out, because it's a muchach that it's only temporary. You can take it in and out anyway.
So I mean, the normal understanding of tefira, sewing, is something with a needle and thread.
Right.
Period.
Correct. That's what Simon Zalman said. It's a needle and thread. A button and a zipper is not sewing.
Okay. But you're saying there's also a learning that we can say that it's something that connects.
Correct. Correct.
So like what if you say glue, for example?
Yeah, glue is definitely texture. Any type of attachment is called tefira. We'll get to it later on in the Siman. You lick an envelope shut on Shabbos. That's called tefira. Because it's meant to be close and meant to stay together. You have the same thing with the Pampers today. Right? The what's called the Band-Aids, everything. Well, even the Band-Aids. The Band-Aid is called tefira. Opening and closing it is a shot of tefira.
We're okay with Band-Aids.
So the reason why we're okay is because they're shachal yom. It's not meant to stay. It's meant to open up. It's meant to open up. But
the diaper, the adhesive?
Yeah, the adhesive Pampers, some place can hold. You're not open on Shabbos. Because it's Korea.
Poor baby.
Yeah, you're not open on Shabbos.
Yeah, you didn't.
Yeah, I remember when I had little kids, we used to take a bunch of Pampers before Shabbos and open them up. Open them up before Shabbos. Once you open them before Shabbos, so now the thing they make in the factory is meant to hold for a long time. When you open it once before Shabbos, so now it's meant to open and close within a couple of minutes. Therefore, it's not called tefira anymore. But the problem would be, when you finish with the pamper, and you stick it on and close it, wrap it up and stick it and close it, there's a tefira that's meant to stay for a long time. So this should be awesome. You should be able to stick it on afterwards. A lot of person master it, because that's tefira. The heter would be is, because there's no tefira on garbage. There's no tefira something you're throwing out. You can't call tefira on something that's meant to go to the garbage. That's the heter that some place can give. Anything could be tefira.
It's not a garbage bag. That's kosher.
No, that's kosher. Kosher is something else. Kosher is something else.
You could not, but not double knot.
You can
But not double knot, yeah.
There wouldn't be any problem with, sometimes you use Post-it notes to make markers and use safer or something.
It's not meant for a permanent thing, it'll be mutter, but if it's meant to stick there for a long time, it should be the same tefira. Yeah.
Okay, so it means you can basically take it into the thread and sell your garbage bag shut.
Tefira. Yeah. If you hold that, those sheets, everything is meant to go into the garbage, it's not called tefira.
Pay full membership. You got
Okay, Siv Zayin. We used to have the strings around the Zorisayim. Now we have it on the sweatpants, the pants they have, they tie the strings, or the me'ils, all these things they have. They have a string sticking out, and you pull the string and it tightens it. So around their arms, a string you pull and it keeps it tight. You're not allowed to tighten on Shabbos. Elaim Cain, you and a cover mechavim ktsas and musukanim betfira over eagle. Unless there's holes, and the thing goes through the hole. So if the thing goes through the hole, it's meant, you're not really changing the beged. The beged's done. The beged has a hole in it. If the beged itself, if the string is attached to the beged itself, and you're pulling it and you're tightening the beged, that would be awesome. But if it's something that goes through a hole that's already made,
like a loose belt going around without
then it's mutter.
Tied to the beged itself.
Then it's mutter. Only because the beged is already made. Right. You have a string that goes through the beged and you tighten that string. Yeah. But if the beged is meant to tighten, which you do have sometimes, there's a string that you pull and the whole beged crunches together.
Yeah.
So those could be awesome.
Because they have it in a little.
So what do you do with the hood and the
that's fine. No, that's separate. The hole in the beged is made. The string is a separate thing. The string, anytime the string is a separate thing, for example, the string falls out and put a new one in, that's mutter. Because the beged's done, it's not part of the beged. You have sometimes that the some strings from the beged that it pull.
Is it from inside?
Yes, from the beged itself. I don't think they do that anymore today, do they?
I've seen like ribbons on women's things.
Yeah.
And then you kind of bring it together to make a bow on it or something.
Right, and then when it's
not like a hole.
It's part of the beged?
Part of the beged.
That would be a problem.
Right.
So that would be a problem.
Put it together, make a bow on it. Like
right, so that could be a problem. That itself could be a problem. That's this halacha. But if you have holes in it and it's meant to go in and out, then it's mutter.
So if it's already in the garment itself,
it's not in. If it's in it, it's not. It's different shiloh. Till I put it in, we'll get to that in the next Seif. But we're talking about, let's say it's in the bag.
In the back of a dress, like there's two long like ribbons hanging,
right?
And then you pull them together and make a bow.
And it's part of the dress.
It's part of the dress. It's sewn into the dress. It's not and it pulls. It makes like a waistline.
No, but when it's pulling it, that's something else.
No,
it's sewn to the dress. You're not doing tefillah because you're not pulling it from inside. His case is when you're pulling the string. For example, you have a pull in your sleeve, right? Yeah. You pull the string, the whole baguette crunches up. Right. That's what he's talking about. Because you're pulling it, the whole baguette crunches up. There, when you have it's sewn onto the baguette, you're not changing the baguette. You're not pulling strings from inside the baguette. You're scrunching it together. Right, pulling the baguette together. That's something else. We're talking about the only time it would be usher if it's part of the baguette itself, and when you pull it, it crunches together. That's the only time it would be usher. Sometimes you want to leave it there forever, and you're not allowed to do it on Shabbos. Then even though it has a macha, that's mutter, because once there's a hole inside, everything is mutter. Okay, so the Mishnah Berurah here says, so the case over here is you look at the Mishnah Berurah, what's the case? It says, Darken hoya liten chut b'toich habeis yad, to put a string through the sleeve itself. Charles Royal, you pull it, and the whole thing was squeezed together. So they put string through it, and then they pull the string. But there wasn't a hole there that the string could go through. That if the string would come out.
It means the string was actually connected to the baguette. It was pulling the baguette.
Yeah, it was pulling the baguette. As long as you have a hole, then it's mutter. The have a command of machnis crossing with a voice. So like you're putting in crossing with little metal pieces, it hooks into the holes. Keeping them a sukin, the zeb, between this, the masker, the hatchai, kashrut-kosher, the voice-side, the voice-side, therefore it is mutter. So here he's saying that if you're doing it and you're closing it up and you want to leave it there for a long time, even if you have the holes, also the halacha-theory b'Shabbos.
It's interesting. If you look, the original malach in the Mishkan was exactly that. You had the luloris and you had the crossing.
Yeah, but that was mutter. The luloris and the crossing mutter. You're not allowed to make it on Shabbos. No one says you're not allowed to hook it in on Shabbos.
That was mutter on Shabbos.
And any hooks are mutter. That's the heter they give. That's one of the terms they give for Velcro. If you think about it, why is Velcro different than the sticky than adhesive? That's what both are putting them together. What's the chiluk?
One is meant to come on and off.
No, the adhesive is meant to come on and off.
Which adhesive?
Anything, a Pampers, right? Let's say Pampers.
It's at most once or twice, and it's even very poor. Velcro, the end, it's meant to
continue.
It's like a button. It's meant for not one. It's meant for you use it for 8 months. 8 months. You use it for.
But doesn't Velcro have like a tiny Korea? Doesn't it Korea?
No, it's not Korea. It's not Korea. The Velcro is like a hook. Teeny little hooks that hook into each other, and you pull them apart. Right?
It doesn't actually tear when you do that.
No, they don't tear. It doesn't tear. Nothing rips. So that's the one that term they give for Velcro is because it's like the loys, it's like hooks. No different than a button. It's very, very small. So you have 1,000 of them. But it's not tougher, you're not sticking it together and then opening it up. That's one of the term they give to Velcro. Otherwise, what's the heck of Velcro more than anything else? Now they make campers that have Velcro on them. And they did just for the Eden. That the Shabbos is going to be a problem. The Jews probably use more pampers than anybody else in the world. So.
Just pamper the kids all the time.
They pamper the kids.
So that's the heter for tightening anything on Shabbos. Okay. Let's see Seif Ches. Muchin shenaflu min hakeses mutar lahachziram. So muchin, basically what the case over there was, you have pillows, and they would stuff it with muchin. Muchin was like shmatas. It didn't have like we have today feathers. So a pillow was made out of a bunch of shmatas stuck into the pillowcase. So if you have the muchin shenaflu min hakeses, the muchin came out of the pillows. Mutar lahachziram, you're allowed to return it into the pillows. I will also litnam b'tchila b'keses. You're not allowed to pour the chatchila into the pillow. And what's the reason for that? So if you look at the Magen Avraham, also litnam the hashta ovid leimona. Now you're making it into a kli. Rambam calls it gzeir shemoneh-esrei. So there's two reasons over here. One of the reasons is because it's the second one. You put in the mukhan into the kli now. That pillow was never a pillow yet. You're putting the mukhan in the first time. Now you're making it usable. Now you're making it into a pillow. Till now it was not a pillow. Now it becomes a pillow. Therefore it's awesome. But once it was there already, you're allowed to put it back where it came from. Because it's not Mesak Mona. It's already there from beforehand. Now how about the Rambam's Gzeira, shemoneh-esrei? That also, the pashtus is only an issur when you're doing it for the first time. Putting it in, shemoneh-esrei. It fell out. For some reason there was no Gzeira, shemoneh-esrei, according to the Rambam, which is hard to understand. If it fell out, then you put it back in, you may sew it up, keep it in.
So you come back to the safety pin issue. So let's say you came out pushing and you want to put a safety pin in to hold it in, so it won't come out again.
So it depends. If the safety pin is meant to be there and you leave it for a long time, it can be
awesome. It's only temporary. So
it's temporary, then you can do it. Yeah.
Is putting a pillow in a pillowcase in the second month?
No. The pillow had the feathers in the pillow. No. Putting a pillow in the second month. No. I mean, if you have a new set of linen, you mean?
Yeah, making a bed also should be.
Why? Making a bed in the second month the first time? Why? The second one and what? The bed? The beds are usable beforehand. So the beds are usable.
It's just you're covering it with the.
I'm saying
the
pillow, no. The pillow without the book inside is nothing.
Yeah, a pillow without the pillowcase or something.
Oh, that's what you mean. That's what you mean. Yeah. It's not the pillowcase. Yeah.
Making the bed.
Yeah, it's not a sakamana. The pillow is usable. The pillowcase is not. It's a cover. The pillowcase is just a cover to the pillow.
To make it more beautiful.
So if we look at the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Kol Lamed Beis, Mutar lahachziram, it fell the Oisei HaKeses, the same exact pillow. But keeping the Kfar HaYusham, Ein Bezer Misham Tikkun Mona, Ach Sheizor Shelo Yitzfar, you have to be careful not to sew it. So you let it. If it falls out, you put it back into the same pillowcase. But how about if it falls out to put into a new pillow, not pillowcase, a new pillow? It'll be awesome, because that new pillow they're putting it into is Mesake Mona on that new one. Now you're making it into a kli. It's a chiv deraisa of masakin money. So here, the Mishnah brings down that the mukhin they're putting in, if it's from that pillow, you put it back in. But to put it into a new one, you're not allowed to do it. Now how about the opposite? How about if I have a pillow that was already a pillow before, the mukhin fell out, I want to put new mukhin into the pillow. Are you allowed to do that or not?
No, then you are kind of mitaken mana. You are fixing it with
the pillow was used already. The pillow was made into a mana already. But I'm putting new mukhin into the pillow. Are you allowed to do that or not? So we had a similar shiloh once with the shoelaces. We had it in Siman Giant, I think it was, with the shoelaces. The shoelace, you're not allowed to put a new shoelace into the shoe on Shabbos. Now we also had that you're not taking an old shoelace and put it into a new shoe. They never had shoelaces before. It has to be an old shoelace to an old shoe. Or if it's a new shoelace to an old shoe, or an old shoelace to a new shoe, I think that's both of them in, then it's awesome. Because that's called masakin mana. Whether it's the shoelace or whether it's the shoe. Because you're making the shoelace into a mana now also by putting it into the shoe. So the same thing should be over here. That if you're adding mukhin that you never had before into the pillow, so it's masakin mana on the mukhin. You're making the mukhin into a mana, because it didn't have till now. So it should be the same thing over here.
Oh, but the mukhin was a kli beforehand, and so you stopped using it because it became shmata.
Using it for a new purpose.
Yeah, you're making a new thing out of it. You're making a new thing out of the mukhin.
Would it be a problem if, let's say you were stuck somewhere without a pillow, and you wanted to make a pillow?
How are you making a pillow?
Like you find a bag, maybe a cloth bag, and you put some clothes in it, and pillow.
I wouldn't say it's called masakin mana because the bag is not really a pillow. The bag is temporary. You can throw it out.
Pillow cover.
You can throw it out. It's temporary. Yeah, it's temporary. I wouldn't call that a mana even. I won't call that a mana. Mana means you're using it. So the question here is, where the poskim get involved with the gain to us, which is very common, is filling up things with ear. Filling up things with ear.
Right.
So you have a balloon, let's say, you have a ball.
Or a basketball.
A basketball. Or a mattress. Yeah, a mattress. Blow mattresses. So you're allowed to add ear to them on Yom Tov, on Shabbos. So the most common thing is the beach balls. You blow them up, you're allowed to do it on Shabbos. So now, the beach balls, if it's the first time you're blowing it up, it could be masakin mana. It was never blown up before, and now you're adding air to it, it could be masakin mana. But let's say it was already blown up, and you deflated it.
Now it's new air.
But now it's new air. Now it's new air. You're putting new air into it. So it depends. If what we said is true, that new mukhin into an old pillow is also, so same thing over here. New air into the balloon should be also.
But you cannot keep the air before the mukhin. You can keep aside to fill it back, but the air you cannot put it aside to pull it back.
Okay, so
that's why it may be mutter.
What's the difference?
You should blow it up with your mouth because when it's used air. Oh, but it was in the balloon.
Is there in the balloon?
No, but that's exactly what Shlomo Zalman says. He says putting in a little bit of air is like it's air that was already, because it's air. It's
already used.
Air.
It's already so
it's air here and it's air there.
Yeah.
Here it's cloth and here it's a pillow.
Okay, so the truth is, there's a few halacha-theory. For this. First of all, one halacha-theory is because, and then when you were talking about it was very blown up once.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, it's not on the balloon itself. Now, we explained before the reason why you can't put a new shoelace into an old shoe is because you're masakin mana on the shoelace. You're making the shoelace into a shoelace. When you put air into a balloon, you can't call the masakin mana on the air.
Because it's still balloon.
Even if it's new air. Air doesn't become anything. You can't say you made a mana out of the air. Right? The whole issue of putting a new shoelace into an old shoe is not the shoe is the problem. The shoelace is the problem because you're masakin mana on the shoelace. The same thing if you add new mukhin to an old pillow, it's also there's a misakin mana on the mukhin. But if I'm adding air to a balloon, you can't call the air in the balloon misakin mana.
Maybe because the pillowcase, or let's say the case of that pillow was cloth. When you put mukhin in, it became a pillow. It changed its status from a simple thing to a balloon. It was balloon before.
And it was rubber. No, it's rubber. It's rubber. Now it's a balloon.
But you still don't call it rubber. You call it a balloon. When you show the kid, you say it's a balloon.
And a pillowcase. A pillow is called a pillow. It's not folded up yet, but it's a pillow.
Okay.
We call it a pillow. So that's one of the time they give. Other time they give is because air was used already. This air was used already. It's not called new air. Different time that they give for blowing up balloons and mattresses on Shabbos. Different time. It's a big. I'm not saying all the places go out there.
With water, would water be different?
No. Water balloons.
Or a water mattress.
Water mattress.
That has substance to it.
According to the first svara, that you can't call him a sakamon on air. I don't know if you call him a sakamon on water either.
Water doesn't really have.
How do you know if
you call water on lukli? Mukhin became a cleaner. I use the mukhin. I don't know. I'm not sure about water. But definitely there's a lot of makilim on blowing up balloons or blowing up mattresses if it was used already beforehand. If it wasn't used beforehand, then you have an issue.
Steve doesn't like it. He says, "Give me your coat pot and hair also enough."
Because it's new air.
Yeah.
But that way, Chiddush, that the problem with the new air is that air becomes the money.
Yeah. Here's a way to do it with the money.
Incredible. Yeah. He said every time you put in, it's new air.
New air. It's new air.
So, please to comment back.
Okay, that's Sief Ches.
Welcome to club.
Sief Tes. Also, the Kabetz Melech, Masreifos HaMelech, and now they gather salt from the places where they gather the salt from. Masreifos HaMelech is where they burn out and they have the salt there. Shadoim Ma'amer, it's similar to Ma'amer. Ma'amer means gathering the fruits, gathering the wheat in the field. And also the Kabetz Chaldover B'mokam Geduloi. You're not allowed to gather anything in the place where it grows. So if you want to gather, you have a pear tree in your backyard, and you want to gather some pears together, it's awesome. It's Mokum Geduloi. You're not allowed to gather them together on Shabbos. That's a Rafel before Shabbos. Rafel on Shabbos. Shabbos it's Muktzah. Rafel on Shabbos, you're not allowed to gather them on Shabbos else. It looks like it's being Ma'amer.
So can you take one by one? You will bring it back to your house?
You take one by one,
even though it's not there in Mura, because usually when you gather pears and stuff like that, you gather them you take them off for the tree.
No, it falls on the floor, you gather them from the floor.
No, but you don't usually do that. I mean, when they go picnic.
Yeah, so, Mokum Geduloi. Yeah, Mokum Geduloi is awesome.
Well, because you could say that Mokum Geduloi is actually on
No, it's in the area.
On the area.
Because the Ma'amer usually, for example, the main Ma'amer is by Tfur. Yeah. Tfur you gather after you cut it,
right.
Then you gather it together after it's cut.
But the chiddush to me is the first part, because when you have salt water and then the sun dries the water and then you haven't done anything. When you did it at the time of Shas Maaseh, it was salt and water together, and then the rest of it is passive. In other words, it becomes amber, but not your action.
No. You gather after the sun burns it out. You gather the salt.
Oh, no, but
you gather in the salt.
Oh, okay. I thought.
Yeah. Okay. You gather in the salt. After the sun burns it out, you gather the salt.
No, but he's talking about this from Melech. He's not talking about your home.
So if we look at Sif Lam here in the Mishnah Berurah, Shadoimo says the Melechas Ma'amer Hu LaEsef HaShibolim, to gather together the stalks of the wheat, the Gamu Ke'en Zeh. This is the same thing. The Dafku B'Mokam HaMasreifos Sheshamdu Mokam Geduloi Shel HaMelech. That's the place where the salt grows. Domid the Shibolim Shebisada. Aval in the Spazer, the Mokam Acher, Mutter the Kaptim the Mokam Echad. If it's in a different place, not where it grew, you're allowed to gather them into one place.
So if you've got your salt shaker that opened up and then you've got salt all over.
You're not gathering the salt together.
You can put it back into the salt shaker?
Huh?
You can put it back into the salt shaker.
You put it back on the salt shaker, yeah, no problem. Lama Amen. Sivkot Lama Vol, the Ma'ara, L'chen Osna Midiraponah, Imer Gufa, Leka, the Ein Imer Ela Begadulei Karka. So it says Melech is not really Ma'amer. Salt is not really being Ma'amer, because Ma'amer is only by Gedulei Karka, something that grows in the ground. Salt doesn't grow. Right? So it's mainly fruits and vegetables and wheat. These things are Ma'amer. Right, so that will be awesome. This is called Dover Hydropatus, V'Yirakas, V'Eitzim, V'Asovim, V'Chol Dover HaGodol V'Akarka. V'Zeh Chiyuv Nami Ikar K'Shemekavto B'Mokem Gidulam V'Zeh Melachas Ma'amer Gufo. That is Mamish Ma'amer. V'Hayden the Mechav Lashon also L'Hayrais Lanu V'Shem Loi B'Mokem Gidulam, in a place where it doesn't grow, you're going to espouse the Patus for bias. Afilu Yisura Nami Leka K'Shemekavto Yachad. Even Issa there isn't when you gather them together. So if you're carrying a bowl of oranges and they're full all over the floor, no Issa b'chalal to gather them and put them back into the bowl. I once saw somebody say that Issa the bowl, I'm not sure where it comes from, but there's no Issa b'chalal to gather the fruits and put them back into the bowl. Where is this thing very negeya? This thing is very negeya. Kids in the summer when they're playing and they play with the twigs and they gather them together, they make a pile, or rocks. Or leaves. Yeah, some of them, yeah. This would be the same thing with Chayim. Yeah, it would be the same thing. Kids make a pile of leaves on Shabbos. It's Ma'amer. Should we also have Ma'amer? No. What's the problem with Ma'amer? It's like to do with Karka. Yeah.
Nothing to do with Karka.
It's like to do with Karka.
Sand is okay.
Yeah, sand is like to do with Karka. It has Karka itself. So, but gathering twigs, which is a very common thing. Kids in the summer all the time. They're going out there, they're gathering twigs, they're making piles. So, the Chayim can be into their rice even. Not just into their body. It's Mokum Gedulam, and gathering something with Mokum Gedulam can be into their rice. Yeah, leaves also, I'm not sure, I never thought about leaves. Leaves are a good china. Leaves are a very common thing. People do it all the time. They gather leaves. Yeah, they jump in the leaves. I'll find some heter for leaves. I don't know what heter would be. But it's the chayim to be regular ma'amer. Gathering leaves together. Yeah, he says that. Eitzim v'asavim, he writes. Here.
Leaves are not welcome to do, but he says that's not where they're growing.
The leaves? Yeah, they fall down from the tree.
Fall from the tree.
Yeah, but there's some there. Any apples that fall from the tree. Apples that fall from the tree on the floor, you gotta gather them.
That's what I asked. Because I think it's on the ground, it's not, because you do them is on the tree.
Yeah.
There's no still the area.
Yeah, the area where it grows, it falls down, they gather it together, it's a ma'amer.
So maybe it's because you're moving the leaves or whatever from the Kombidulum to somewhere open where they're going to jump on it. So it's not the Kombidulum.
No, it isn't Makom Gedulam. You're gathering them. Still, I don't know, interesting shadow. Interesting shadow. I have to check into it before next fall. Okay, but anything gathering, twigs, these type of things, there's a problem. It could be into the rice even.
Wow.
Then it says, Ganas and Bardeisim, okay, it's not so engaged to us. Shichem Mizorim, Oid Vizeh, Full of Perish, Nishma, Bardiyim, Shal Oisam, Vashab, Full of Ma'at. Here is a Chiv Chatas. Why? So here it comes up with a big chumrah. Yeshir Imer Hushir Katan Ma'oid. Gathering is a drop. You have to have big piles. Here if you gather a drop together, it's already an issur of Ma'amer, Chamach Kotam, Rambam, Ma'amer, Oiklin, Im Lachila, Shir Kegregers, Im Lahema, Shir Kemloi Piagdi, Im Lachsaka, Shir Kedel Vashal Beya. Whatever shirim they are, all these shirim are very little. Gathering, once you gather a few twigs together, it's already, it could be Achiv Daraisa. The same thing with leaves. You gather a few leaves together. I was thinking, I don't know if it's true or not, to find out. It could be that the only time when you gather something is a chiv ma'amr if there's something to do with it, you use it for something. For example, wood you gather to make a fire, perits you gather to eat, asavim you gather for ma'achal behema, The leaves have no use.
No, but so is twigs too. I mean, because of the gathering twigs, you're saying, if you say...
No, twigs can be used for fire.
I know, but
they're not gathering for that. They're not gathering for it.
Leaves too. You can use
no. Leaves can't use for fire.
The green,
for fire. But the point is, it's the fact that the kids want to use it for jumping.
No, that's nothing. That's nothing. I wonder if we had about leaves. That it's only something you ma'amr and you do something with it. And the only cases we have of ma'amr is for behemo, for adam, to make a fire. Even a sovim is meant for animals to eat. But to gather leaves where there's no use.
You can make paper for leaves.
No use out of it. It could be because they had to. We have to check into it. We have to find the heter from Amr. Fine. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue after Pesach and Mitzvah Shem. Take another week or two to finish the Siman.